Stories Philippines Podcast.
A shiver crawls across your skin before you even understand why. An inexplicable chill that seems to seep from the very air itself. The atmosphere is thick and heavy, laden with the scent of rain-soaked stone and the rich, damp aroma of old earth, as if the walls themselves exhale memories long buried. The silence presses in around you, dense and oppressive, feeling older than language, older than time, a silence that speaks of forgotten sorrows and unseen watchers. In the labyrinthine maze of ancient walls that surround you, every footstep reverberates loudly as though something unseen is following close behind, moving just beyond the edge of your vision. Tonight, memory and myth bleed into one another, blurring the line between what is real and what is imagined. What if the stories you grew up hearing, whispered around campfires or passed down through generations, are not merely legends? What if the most haunted places in Manila are truly haunted, not just by restless spirits trapped between worlds, but by the deep, lingering tragedies we have chosen to forget or ignore? What does it truly mean for a place to be haunted? Is it simply the presence of ghosts, phantoms caught between life and death? Or is it something more profound? The weight of suffering so intense that it leaves an imprint on the very fabric of a place, a sorrow that never fully dissipates. Are these haunting tales just stories we tell ourselves to explain the inexplicable chill that seems to grip the air? Or is the darkness within Intramuros deeper and more complex than mere stone and shadow? As we slip quietly into the heart of this old city, stepping carefully through its narrow alleys and crumbling walls, we walk among whispers. Stories of white ladies drifting silently through the night, faceless figures glimpsed in fleeting moments, restless souls endlessly searching for peace they cannot find. But behind every haunting legend lies a truth far more unsettling than any ghostly apparition. A truth about history, loss, and memory that refuses to be buried or forgotten. This is the Halloween 2005 special episode of Stories Philippines Podcast. I am Paul and you are listening to Stories Philippines Podcast. Tonight's episode delves deeply into stories that may disturb and unsettle you, stories that invite you to peer into wounds that have never fully healed, lingering beneath the surface of history. If you choose to listen on, do so with care, and do not be surprised if you find yourself glancing over your shoulder when the lights are low, as the shadows seem to lengthen and the air grows thick with unease. Remember, you can share your own experiences by submitting your personal stories to our email address, which is conveniently found in the show notes accompanying this episode. Additionally, show notes, support options, and exclusive content related to this and other episodes are all available in the episode description. For fascinating daily folklore facts and updates, be sure to follow us on our various social media platforms and join our growing community of curious listeners. Intramuros. The very name means within the walls, a phrase that evokes images of fortification and protection. Intramuros is the oldest district in Manila, meticulously built by the Spanish colonizers in the late 16th century as a formidable fortress raised to protect the colonial elite and their interests. For centuries, its towering ramparts stood steadfast, keeping out invading forces and quelling unrest from within. But despite its imposing walls and defensive structures, those barriers could not keep out suffering. Every stone of Intramuros is layered with countless stories, tales of displacement, shattered communities, violent conquest, and profound loss. However, the deepest and most enduring scars were inflicted during the Second World War. The year was 1945. American troops fought fiercely to reclaim Manila from occupying forces, turning Intramuros, once a bastion of power and governance, into a vast graveyard. Thousands perished, soldiers caught in brutal combat, civilians trapped in the crossfire, entire families trapped apart by the chaos of war. Their bodies were left among the ruins, their names often lost to history amid the devastation. Since that tragic time, locals have whispered that the city never truly recovered from those horrors, that grief, despair, and rage seeped deeply into the ground itself, leaving it fertile for stories of the supernatural to take root and flourish. Ask anyone who passes through Intramuros after dark, and you will hear the same chilling refrain. The old city is haunted, not just by restless ghosts and apparitions, but by the heavy weight of what happened here, the memories and emotions etched into every corner. These are stories that refuse to fade away with time. They persist in whispers, shadows, and fleeting glimpses. One such story belongs to a Maysan. Let's call him Ernesto, who has worked within these ancient walls for more than 30 years. A practical man by nature, his days are spent among crumbling stone and faded mortar, painstakingly restoring what time and conflict have worn down. His nights are usually quiet and undisturbed, filled with peaceful rest after long hours of labor. But one evening near the Puerto Real Gardens, something happened that Ernesto cannot explain. A vision that shook his steadfast beliefs. In the dim light, he saw a woman in white, her face obscured by long, tangled hair that danced softly in an unseen breeze. Her gown trailed behind her, floating mere inches above the ground as she moved silently through a chamber once reserved for the most powerful figures, governors, archbishops, and colonial officials who once ruled these walls with authority. This spectral figure seemed to glide effortlessly, her presence both haunting and sorrowful, as if bound to the place by memories too painful to leave behind. Ernesto's encounter is just one among many whispered tales that continue to breathe life into Intramuros at night, a living testament to the past's unyielding grip on the present. Ernesto watched in silent fascination as she passed by, his body frozen in a mix of overwhelming fear and awe. He tried desperately to follow her delicate figure with his eyes, but just as she reached the far end of the dimly lit chamber, she suddenly dissolved into thin air, vanishing without a trace. In her place, a gentle rain of leaves drifted down, as if stirred by some invisible force. To this day, Ernesto says that simply recalling the sight of that moment raises the hair on his arms and sends a chill down his spine. Who exactly was she? Was she a ghost, a lingering memory replaying itself endlessly, or merely a trick played on his exhausted and overworked senses? Many say that the White Lady is a common figure in haunted histories all over the world, a woman who was terribly wronged in life and is doomed to wander endlessly until her story is finally heard and understood. But why does she choose to walk these ancient gardens nestled in the heart of Manila's old city, Intramuros, amidst the ghosts of power struggles and brutal wars long past? Folklore tells us that white ladies are often drawn to places marked by great sorrow and tragedy. They appear as omens or as haunting reminders of injustice and loss that refuse to be forgotten. And in Intramuros, sorrow is something that is never far away from anyone who walks its cobbled streets. The stories surrounding these hauntings do not end there. Night watchmen often report hearing footsteps echoing through empty corridors where no one is supposed to be walking. Local residents feel sudden chills that sweep over them inexplicably, smell phantom flowers or faint incense burning in the air, and sometimes see ghostly figures dressed in antique clothing gliding silently through the shadows. Some, people like Ernesto, see faces without any features. Eyes that seem to look right through you rather than at you, evoking a deep sense of unease. But not every haunting remains hidden in whispered rumors and local legend. In recent years, groups of paranormal investigators have ventured into Intramuros, determined to confirm or possibly debunk the centuries-old legends that surround this historic walled city. Armed with compasses, kinetic belts, and thermal scanners, these investigators hope to capture evidence or at least catch a glimpse of the unexplained phenomena that many believe still linger in the darkness of Intramuros' ancient walls. One such dedicated and passionate team is led by Miguel, a seasoned veteran who has devoted more than 40 years of his life to the art and science of ghost hunting. Over the decades, he has developed a unique approach that embraces both skeptics and believers, inviting them all to join his investigations with nothing but curiosity and courage as their guiding tools. He emphasizes one crucial rule above all else: never run, no matter what eerie sights or unsettling sounds you might encounter. According to Miguel, fear clouds the mind and distorts perception, turning mere shadows into terrifying monsters that exist only in the imagination. On a particularly recent night, Miguel's team embarked on an exploration into the dark and foreboding dungeon beneath Fort Santiago, a place notorious for its grim history and immense suffering. During the brutal years of the Second World War, hundreds of prisoners, Filipino, American, and other nationalities, were cruelly confined in this cold, pitch-black dungeon. When the war finally ended, 600 bodies were discovered. One such team is led by Miguel, a veteran of more than 40 years of ghost hunting whose experience has taught him to balance open-mindedness with careful observation. He invites skeptics and believers alike to join his investigations, equipping them with curiosity, caution, and a steadying dose of courage. The only rule on his outings is simple and uncompromising: never run, no matter what you see or hear. Fear clouds the mind, he says, warping perception and turning ordinary shadows into imagined monsters. On a recent night, Miguel's team ventured into the dungeon below Fort Santiago, a place infamous for its history of suffering and deprivation. During the Second World War, hundreds of prisoners, Filipino, American, and others, were confined in those dark, cramped cells. When the fighting ended, 600 bodies were discovered there, starved and suffocated, their identities lost to the chaos of wartime. No one knows their names, and the silence that followed their deaths lingered in the stone. That night, outwardly, nothing seemed amiss to the investigators. Their instruments registered little more than the usual drafts and ambient noise. But for Roberto, a long-serving guard who has patrolled these ruins for years, the dungeon holds a memory he cannot shake. One evening, as he prepared to lock up, he saw a man enter a chamber. The figure moved with grim purpose, disappearing down a corridor that, at the far end, was sealed and impassable. When Habirab followed in alarm, there was nothing, no trace of the man, no footprints, no sign of an exit except the way they had come. Roberto's account is echoed by others who work in Intramuros and around the old fort. Shadows shift and move where they should not. Vague figures appear at the periphery of vision and then vanish without a sound. Voices call out in the corridor, then thin into the air and fade into silence. Some dismiss these experiences as fatigue, the brain misregistering shapes and sounds in the half-light of history. Others insist it is memory refusing to fade, the past asserting itself in small, persistent ways. Miguel, the investigator, leans toward a different explanation. What Roberto saw might be a residual haunting, a kind of memory imprinted on the place itself and replaying for those sensitive enough to perceive it. These are not sentient spirits seeking closure, he says, but echoes, trauma lodged in walls and floors, a looped recording of the worst moments that once occurred there. For some people, and in certain conditions, those echoes can be startlingly vivid, as if the past were momentarily projected into the present. The tools of the investigators are simple yet profoundly telling. Take, for example, the kinetic bell, a small but sensitive instrument that rings softly when moved by unseen forces, suggesting the presence of spirits or energies beyond human perception. Sometimes, however, the bell remains silent, a subtle but powerful sign that whatever spirits linger in the area are unwilling or unable to communicate with the living. At other times, photographs taken during investigations reveal strange smudges of light or darkness, ethereal shapes that seem almost human, fleeting glimpses of something that defies easy explanation. Science offers its own explanations for these phenomena. In a humid environment like Manila, condensation on camera lenses can easily distort images, creating ghostly forms that appear to move or shift unnaturally. Night vision equipment, designed to amplify faint light, can turn moisture in the air into eerie spectral shapes that confuse even the most rational observers. Moreover, the human mind, especially when primed by fear and expectation, is remarkably adept at filling in blanks with familiar figures, often interpreting random patterns as faces or figures, an effect known as pareidolia. Yet despite these scientific reasons, there remains a puzzling question. Why do so many people see the same apparitions, feel the same sudden chills down their spines, and recount eerily similar stories across different generations and locations? Is this simply the result of suggestion and shared cultural narratives, or is there something deeper, some mysterious force at work that science has yet to fully understand? Stories themselves wield immense power. In a place like Intramuros, where layers of history and loss are thicker than the ancient stone walls, stories become more than just tales. They become a vital way for people to make sense of suffering and tragedy. The figure of the White Lady, her face forever hidden in shadow, her presence both a warning and a plea, has become a potent symbol representing all those whom the city has lost over centuries of conflict and hardship. These ghost stories are far from unique to Manila. Across the world, similar tales persist in places marked by great sorrow and violence. In England, the Tower of London is reputed to echo with the cries and footsteps of those executed within its walls. In the United States, Gettysburg's battlefields are said to be haunted by the restless spirits of soldiers who died in one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. In Japan, the ruins of Hiroshima carry their own lingering pain, where survivors speak of shadows and whispers that refuse to fade away. Everywhere, suffering has left its mark. Stories of ghosts emerge as a kind of collective memory. Perhaps what haunts us most deeply is not merely the dead themselves, but the fear that we might be forgotten entirely, or that the worst moments of our lives could become the only things remembered long after we are gone. These stories remind us that memory and history are intertwined with emotion and spirit, creating a bridge between the past and present that continues to shape how we understand ourselves and the places we inhabit. The Filipino belief in spirits, in aswangs and tikbalangs and white ladies, is deeply woven into the fabric of daily life, permeating conversations, rituals, and even the way people interpret the world around them. These stories shift and evolve with each passing generation, adapting to new contexts and experiences, but they never truly fade away. Modern investigators bring science and technology to the hunt for these elusive entities, using cameras, audio recorders, and other tools to seek tangible evidence. Yet at the heart of their quest lies a desire as ancient as fear itself, the yearning to understand what lies beyond the veil of death, to feel less alone in the overwhelming darkness that surrounds mortality. Intramuros, the walled city rich with history and mystery, stands as a crucible for these existential questions. Its haunted reputation draws not only thrill-seekers eager for a fright, but also those searching for deeper meaning, a glimpse of something more profound, a fleeting moment of connection with the past that transcends time. Here, the past and present intermingle in the shadows, inviting visitors to engage with stories that challenge the boundary between life and death. In recent years, the rise of dark tourism has brought renewed attention to these haunted sites within Intramuros and beyond. Visitors come not simply for history lessons, but for the visceral thrill of walking where the dead are said to linger, where whispers of the past echo through ancient stone walls. In a culture where death is often a taboo subject, shrouded in silence and superstition, dark tourism offers a unique opportunity to confront fear, reflect on mortality, and mourn collectively what has been lost over centuries of conflict and change. Yet this fascination carries inherent risks. When tragedy is turned into spectacle or entertainment, there is a danger of forgetting the real human pain behind these stories, the lives disrupted or ended within these very walls. The ghosts of Intramuros are not mere legends or figments of imagination. They are living memories and enduring reminders of wounds that still ache beneath the surface of modern life. Every stone in Intramuros has a story etched into its weathered surface. The gardens where the White Lady is said to roam at twilight, the dark dungeons where prisoners met their fate, the courtyards where shadows gather in silent vigil. Each place holds a chapter in a larger narrative of loss, survival, resilience, and hope. These haunting spaces serve as portals to history, inviting contemplation of both the beauty and tragedy that have shaped the city. Sometimes, if you listen closely in the stillness of night, you can hear the city's history breathing softly around you. The gentle rustle of leaves as something unseen passes by, the distant echo of footsteps down an empty corridor, or the whispered plea for remembrance carried on the wind. Intramuros is more than just a relic. It is a living archive of pain and hope. Its stories written in shadows and silences that invite reflection. As midnight approaches and the gardens grow colder under the moon's pale glow, the investigators begin to pack up their equipment. No definitive ghosts captured, no concrete proof secured, but something intangible has shifted. Each investigation, Miguel reflects quietly, brings them incrementally closer to answering the profound question that drives them all. What comes after death? Do we transform into stories told by those who remember us? Do we become memories or echoes lingering in the minds and hearts of those we leave behind? This quest for understanding continues, fueled by hope and fear alike within the ancient walls of Intramuros. Science, faith, folklore, they each offer answers in their own unique ways, but none can satisfy our deepest longings completely. The truth perhaps lies in the idea that the very need to remember is what keeps the ghosts alive, lingering in our minds and hearts across generations. As you listen tonight, take a moment to ask yourself, what stories haunt your own home? Whose voices linger quietly in the corners of your memory, whispering secrets you dare not forget? What truths have you buried deep within, hoping never to face them again, but knowing they shape who you are? And we invite you to share your own story with us. Our email address is provided in the show notes. For more details about this episode, additional show notes, and various ways to support our podcast, please check the episode description below. Join us on Patreon for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insights. And don't forget to follow us on social media for daily folklore facts and updates. Before we say goodnight, remember this. Sometimes, the greatest horror is not what waits in the shadows outside, but what we carry within ourselves, the ghosts we refuse to face, the painful choices we cannot forget, the history we cannot change, but must somehow come to terms with. History, like a ghost, does not simply disappear just because we choose to look away. It lingers, patiently waiting for us to remember and learn from it. If tonight's journey left you feeling uneasy or curious, we encourage you to explore our other episodes: the Haunted Manila North Cemetery, the Chilling Tale of the White Lady of Balete Drive, and the Restless Spirits of Corregidor Island. Each episode opens a new door to the mysteries that continue to shape our world and our understanding of it. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share this podcast with others who appreciate stories that explore the unknown and the mysterious. Your support means the world to us and helps keep the podcast alive and thriving. You can support the podcast through the various options listed in the show notes. Every bit helps and is deeply appreciated. Thank you sincerely for taking the time to listen, especially to this special Halloween 2005 episode. We're truly grateful that you chose to spend part of your night with us, diving into these chilling tales that remind us how sometimes the scariest things aren't just the ghosts or monsters outside, but what lies within ourselves. This is Paul, and you have been listening to Stories Philippines podcast. Good night, and remember, often, the truth is far more terrifying than any ghost story you ever heard. Perhaps, in the end, the monsters are not lurking out there in the dark, but hidden deep within ourselves. Stay safe, stay curious, and until next time, thank you once again for being part of our story.